start out with the broccoli this morning because look at it grow. That is so cool. Good morning. Hanging out here. It's Sunday Fun Day. My name is Jennifer Cavassi, and I am a lure painter, canvas artist, sports enthusiast, and I love gardening. I'm starting it out with this kind of dialogue because I think that it's important that you know where I come from, what I do, how I got into this. So this is going to be a little bit about backstory. I have a different patio than I used to have because I'm not in the same state anymore. I'm in Georgia, and it's been a long journey. But the gardening kind of started out in Brentwood, Maryland. I've got this. The only other pot that's made it across several states is this, which now is home to raspberries that may or may not get enough sunlight over here in order to give me some fruit. So these might need to get moved. We'll see. The plants themselves are doing fantastic. The berries, not so much. I've got just a few little areas that are starting to flower. My other raspberry, here's another. My other raspberry has got lots of sun, but not as many leaves. So there is a trade-off. But the pot that it's in is one of two pots that I have that have sort of completed the garden journey with me here to North Georgia. I started out with 4 pots, just 4, on the back of a small little patio in Brentwood, Maryland, which sits in a suburban/urban area near Washington, D.C. I didn't have space, but I did love fresh food. A lot more fresh food than I could afford. So my solution was to start doing simple things that might be easy to grow, like peppers and tomatoes, in container pots. And they weren't that hard to grow. And subsequently, they are not that difficult to grow. So if you are a new gardener and you have no idea where to start, container gardening might be the simplest solution, because it gives you not only the rewards of the fruits of your labor, so to speak, no pun intended, or maybe a little, but it also gives you the opportunity to spend very little money on just a few things. And then over time, if you enjoy it, you can keep going and get bigger like I did. Or if you don't enjoy it, you haven't spent a ton of money on amendments and bigger garden space and raised beds, all of that stuff. So you're not out a whole lot. I happen to really, really love the gardening, and I got a little bit bigger with it. But the cool thing about the containers that you use, no matter what they are, is that for the most part, it's a one-time purchase. So everything that you yield beyond that in subsequent years is just either from seed or from your soil amendments, because you can reuse soil. And when I say amendments, it's just food. You know, we feed our bodies. Plants have to eat too. And when they're growing wild and naturally, they get things like compost from all the leaves that fall and the branches that decompose when the storms come, knock them off the trees, from birds like these guys that leave droppings. So there's a whole ecosystem available to everything in nature that we really can't provide for naturally when we put them in containers. So there's a little bit of amendment that you have to do. You want to check the bags that you use. Like, for example, let me see if I can find a bag, if I have any over here. I sure do. I've got a bag. I prefer a container mix like this, or a Miracle Grow. And you really want to see what the ingredients are. And you want to see if it's going to be suitable for the kind of plants that you want to grow. Tomatoes need a certain composition. They like soil a little bit more acidic than, say, some flowers. So you want to check those things out. And I'm not going to go into great detail, although we can in subsequent videos as well. But this is just kind of hanging out on the patio part of things. This is all bird seed that's fallen. And it will regrow itself, because a lot of the bird seed that you get, if it's not super expensive, which I don't like to spend a whole lot of money on it, but I do like to watch the birds. I guess I'm getting old. Hey, Di. A lot of the bird seed that's just general does have grass seed in it, or some sort of grass. Not necessarily yard grass, but something similar. So this is just a walk around. You know, we've got nasturtium, cosmos. I finally got rid of, you saw the last video, these were done. So when you top these, it provides less nutrients to whatever was dying or already dead, and it allows for new growth like this. So that's easy too. We've had so much rain. It hasn't been a very difficult thing for me to water the garden, because God and nature has done it for me for the most part. This is the butterfly bush that started out about that tall. Not exactly from seed, but close. Rosemary. You know, you can do kitchen herbs, different things like that in containers. Actually, that might be a third original. That might be the third of 4. I know one completely dry rotted and cracked open. But that's pretty much how it started, with 4 containers just like these. And I got the largest that I could, because I knew that I was going to need to have enough room for the roots. We're going to pick this. I've gotten some really delicious raspberries off of this first-year plant, which I didn't expect anything of. This is one of those plants that you get like at Walmart or Home Depot that come in a little bag with a Ziploc or a twist tie on the top of it, and you get like 1 or 2 root balls, and then you plant it. And this is where we are. It's so sweet. There's no chemicals on it. I try to do as much organic gardening as possible. And I'm at the point now where we're late enough in the season. It's about a week and a half away from June, if that. Today's the 25th, I think, Sunday. If my date's wrong, I'll do that in post-production and correct myself. But these are pretty much tall enough to where they can sustain some fruit. So we're going to let all of the tomatoes that have been growing for about a month and a half, we're going to give them all the chance to yield what they were meant to yield. Here are the strawberries in the little strawberry patch that I did in this raised bed. And I decided to do raised beds for the most part because there are gaggles and gaggles of possum and deer and bunnies. Bunnies are probably the worst for all of this. So I keep everything up at least high enough off the ground to where they can't go absolutely crazy with it. And yeah, even with this, you're going to get some grow through. And you need to try. I use a weed eater for some of it, but of course it's going to come back. And I did use landscaping mats and when I started. But yeah, this is just a general walk around. And I just kind of got into it and love it. Look at, okay, so the last video, the cabbage had just started. And now I've got a hard, this is completely hard. I would have a small cabbage now. I'm going to let it grow out for like maybe 2 more weeks, and then it's going to get cut and we're going to eat it. I know that I mentioned a little bit in the last video. If you guys want any of my recipes, I try to do a lot of traditional Japanese cooking and lots of salads. But this for 2 people is enough basically for an entire season. I haven't gotten into canning yet, so that's not quite where I want to be. That's the eventual, because I want to be able to preserve food as well. But through the beauty of things like YouTube and the internet, it's fairly easy to teach yourself how to grow. And when you do, the rewards are going to be endless. They really, really are. Blueberries are coming along. They are starting to turn blue. So I'm trying to figure out the germination period on that. The ones over here are much bigger than the ones on this plant. But I'm excited that I got fruit out of both of them for the first years, because these are brand new plants. The asters are up, and the rain knocked this one down a whole bunch, but that's okay. The potatoes are doing really, really well. And look, we've got more broccoli over here. And they are crowning, folks. How awesome is that? So we know what happens. You see those big broccoli heads, broccoli crowns at the store. I don't know how long that's going to take to get to that size, or even if I'm going to let it go. I might just, because I munch leaves. The broccoli leaves are absolutely edible and absolutely delicious. The onions have been topped. I got all of the flowers off of those. And the sunflower has grown, I want to say, a good foot in the last 3 or 4 days. Maybe more. It's going to be a mammoth, just like its parent was. And I was blessed with one plant, just like last year. I got seeds off of that. The birds ate off of that. The kitchen garden is getting a little crazy. So I have volunteer tomatoes that I didn't plant right there. I've got basils. These are the carrots. Carrots are going crazy. Look, there's another tomato and another tomato that I didn't plant. How flippin' cool is that? Oh, look at you. So they chew the wood. These wasps and hornets, that's a hornet. They chew the wood and then take it back and build the nest out of it. I just think it's fascinating. Let's get it. Oh, sorry. And everybody's scared to death of things like that. Don't be. Don't kick a hornet's nest, but don't be scared either. We're starting to get zucchini. And, oh, bunch more. Look at this one. Look at this. Look at that one right there. What? Look at you grow. You can pull the flower, especially with a lot of rain, and you should pull the flower. You should probably come out and check on your garden frequently, because you don't want bloom rot, where this will just lay on top and it continually gets wet and wet and wet. And then that happens. I hear the bees. And there you are. You are a welcome sight. That means the pollinators are back, folks. And it's just buzzing around, going around from plant bloom to plant bloom. And we have got them too. Everything's starting to bloom. Everything's starting to just really go wild here. My ever watchful gardening companion, Kaya. What you doing? She's fascinated with nature. So let me dispel some myths about pit bulls and pit bull mixes, because she's got a lot of Pyrenees in her too. She's 26. We did some DNA. So she's 26% Great Pyrenees. She's got Australian cattle dog in her. She's got a lot of pit bull. And there's another mastiff that she has in her. So she is a guardian, and that is her job. And they need to stay busy They need to be given tasks, and they need to stay focused on things. And they are the most loyal. I mean, Casey was loyal as loyal could be, but this dog is just as wonderful. And yes, she's coming up on a year, if she's not a year already. She's probably a little more than a year. And the first year was tumultuous because she has a chainsaw inside of her mouth, just like Rascal did. That's the terrier in her. Good girl. Just don't film that, Mom. But she has terrier, and terriers eat. Don't eat that. No, no. That'll hurt your mouth. That is not a real deal. Let me show you something else real quick. No ma'am. Your mouth will blister up. This is false dill, and it needs to be eradicated, and it will give you rashes and rashes and rashes. So I need to bring a weed eater out here. But that is a very mean plant. This is what happens when nature takes things back. I finally got the yard cut. And then it rained last night while I was at the ball game. Didn't rain on the ball game, but it rained bucketfuls here at the house. But thank goodness I knocked out this backyard. It was probably 2 feet high, easy, more. So I still have some weed eating to do. Stay off of that. That's gonna hurt your mouth, baby. Volunteer beans. This is where I had the beans last year. And even though I reworked the soil and amended it and did all kinds of stuff, there must have been a spare bean that fell that I hadn't harvested. So we have bean. So I'm just going to let it grow. That's bean, Kaya. Silly beans, just like you. Even if you don't have a lot of space, but you've got a sunny spot, like I do back here. Now, this was never really meant to be a garden, but it's a makeshift garden, one that I have to weed, obviously. Time is a factor with me because I have a full-time job, a side hustle. I'm very active, so the gardening, while it is a priority, sometimes the little things, like the weeding, get missed. And with squash, eggplant, they don't really care. But because I have dogs, it could bring ticks and things that I don't want in this backyard. So again, we've had such a wet spring. Look at that. That all needs to come down. So I'll be spending a good amount of time over the next couple of days with the weed eater. But that's pretty much it. You know, space and willingness to do stuff like that. It's up to you. But if you're worried about, I don't have the space, you can do a patio garden. If you have a sunny window, you can grow kitchen herbs. I do that as well. So there's always possibilities, and you don't have to start out big like I did. I kind of grew into this. Honeybees and bumblebees. So awesome. You guys are back. You hear them? This is great. I love it. A very welcome sight. That's going to do it for me, y'all. Welcome home, bees. Welcome summer. Welcome good harvest. Welcome nature. And welcome all the spirits in the Lord that bless them. I hope you guys have a great day.